Welcome to Finding Your Worth From Within, the podcast where I'm going to be helping you up-level your life, find your true self, and ignite the best version of you. I'm your host, Sana, your go-to self-worth mentor, facilitating hundreds of women to unlock your self-belief, master your emotions, and take back control of negative thoughts. We're going to be covering everything self-worth for South Asian women, how to ditch your self-doubt, kick other people's judgment to the curb, and learn how to finally use your voice clearly and with confidence. With the practical tools and spiritual teachings that I give you in this podcast, don't be surprised when this magic begins to massively elevate your life. So whether you're going for a walk, driving home, or listening with a cup of coffee, let's get stuck in. Hey, and welcome to today's episode. I'm going to be talking about what I wish I knew 5 years ago to help me with my confidence. So I hope you had an amazing weekend. I spent Saturday at Shivani Pal's goal setting workshop. So if you don't know, Shivani Pal is a big podcaster, and she had a goal setting workshop hosted in London, and it was actually really nice to go to because I made some new connections there, saw some familiar faces, and it's always nice to reconnect with people that you've met over the course of your journey. And I also met a former client, which was really nice because it was lovely to see her getting out of her comfort zone and doing something new for her. I also reached 700 downloads in 7 days on the podcast, which was absolutely huge. And obviously I was so pumped at the beginning of the week when within 24 hours we reached the top 50 in the Apple podcast charts. I had nearly 500 downloads in 3 days. It was amazing. And then once you've reached that high, you kind of let it settle in and it slows down. And I took Sunday to reflect, and I was like, why am I letting this fizzle down? Why am I not keeping this excitement embodied? We're in so much of a kind of rush society at the minute where something happens and you've got that gratitude and you've got that gratification, and then you kind of move on to the next thing. And I was like, no, I'm going to take Sunday to literally still celebrate and sit in this. 700 downloads in 7 days is huge, and I'm going to absorb this and I'm going to take it in and really be grateful about it. So that's what I did on Sunday. Before we get into today's episode, though, I did want to share with you that after so many of you reached out telling me how you felt heard, seen, and understood through the podcast, it made me really want to serve you even deeper. I want to help you create even bigger shifts. I really feel like it's about time South Asian women started unlocking their self-worth and using their voice. So to do this, I want to help you take those light bulb moments and realizations that you're getting from the podcast and pair them with tangible tools and techniques to create change that you can implement immediately. And to do that, I want you live with me. I want to give you the chance to ask me questions as I'm teaching you, for you to experience firsthand how to tune into your own body to find strength and answers internally that you're currently searching for externally. And I want to be there to create a safe space to guide you through that. So I'm bringing you a free online masterclass. Self-Worth for South Asian Women is a 1-hour masterclass designed to teach you how to ditch your self-doubt and ignite your inner confidence from within, even if the voice in your head says you're not good enough. That's right, a full hour with me live on Zoom, where I'm going to be teaching you how to get clear on your life's directions and step into who you are, not who you're expected to be. How to drop the volume on your inner critic and amplify the energy of self-love, because it is so underrated. When we talk about self-love, people are like, oh, it's cringe, but it's compassion, it's kindness, because I guarantee you won't realize how mean you're actually being to yourself and how much you're actually criticizing yourself. And number 3, we're going to tune into your body, remove resistance, and activate healing with a really powerful but simple exercise. As it is a free event, places are limited, so I'd secure your space now. I'll leave a link in the show notes so you can sign up, and I cannot wait to see you in the Zoom room. Okay, so let's get stuck into today's episode. So I've had clients come to me sometimes that don't actually recognize that it's self-worth and confidence that they need to work on, because it's masked by all of the daily symptoms such as people pleasing, fearing judgment, anxiety, questioning yourself. And if I'm honest, I was actually the same as well. I remember feeling all of those daily symptoms, and I remember thinking, there's got to be more than this. Like, there's got to be more to me than this, but I just didn't know how to unlock it or how to ignite it and what to ignite and unlock, if I'm honest. All I knew is that surely there's got to be more to plodding along in life, doing what felt like Groundhog Day, the same things over and over again. And 5 years ago, like I said, I was trying to build my confidence, and I didn't actually know what that was. I didn't actually know that my confidence and self-worth needed building. I remember just trying to find out a way to remove the tightness in my chest, a way to release the anxiety and let it go away, and find a way of feeling more than good enough rather than not good enough. I would actually sit and watch series on my laptop because it was a distraction from the tightness of breathing in my chest. Anxiety showed up for me, like I said, as tightness in the chest and kind of restricted my breathing. And I wasn't really sure what it was at the time. So I used to sit and watch Friends or other series on my laptop just as a distraction. And I remember holding onto crystals because someone had told me like clear quartz or amethyst or rose quartz are really good on what you needed. And here's me like holding onto these crystals, watching these TV series, hoping that it'll help this anxiety that I was feeling. And my sister was like, if you can't breathe, maybe you should put the crystals down and make a doctor's appointment, right? I had Gabby Bernstein's book on my bedside table, and I used to dabble in a few chapters here and there, and also commit to getting the odd Reiki session every few months. And at this point, I genuinely thought that these things was me trying to make a change. I genuinely thought that a Reiki session here or there was me putting myself first and holding onto these crystals and using a distraction technique and reading this Gabby Bernstein's self-help spiritual book. I genuinely thought that these small surface level actions were going to help me shift that feeling of not feeling good enough, because it was quite a heavy feeling. For those of you that know it, it lives heavy in your heart, it lives heavy in your body. And the reason I wasn't actually working on myself internally or making bigger shifts wasn't because I was unmotivated or holding myself back. It was actually because I genuinely didn't know what I needed to do to cultivate the self-worth that I wanted. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing or how to even create confidence. So when I actually found coaching and stumbled upon it, it was like a dream. It all fell into place and started making so much sense of why I was feeling not good enough and where that actually came from. It was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Because firstly, of course, I didn't feel good enough if I was trying to live life, ignoring what I'm good at and forcing myself to do things that I thought made me valuable instead. I was forcing myself to be in this, what for me was a soul-sucking sales job. I mean, I'm not made for a sales office. I'm not made for corporate life. And because I'm not made for it, I wasn't good at it. But because I wasn't good at it, I felt even worse. I would dread a Monday morning sales meeting, oh my God, where everyone's departments would be compared. And because, like, it was like you were quite literally told that you didn't bring in the right amount of money or revenue, therefore you're not good. But what I didn't know at the time was it just was not my zone of genius. Sales is not my zone of genius, but I was forcing myself into that hole to try and do good because that's what I saw other people doing. I was desperately trying to be what they call a boss bitch because that's what other people around me were doing. And it was kind of the time of that kind of women in their masculinity coming through. But it just so was not for me. It wasn't for me. And I was trying to be somebody else and it wasn't working. And because I didn't have that self-belief, I almost tried to borrow other people's and talk like them and act like them. And it really wasn't a good time because you can guess that trying to be someone else, trying to be something completely different to who I am was so unnatural. And then I wondered why I wasn't good at things. Then I wondered why I felt not good enough. I was trying to be somebody completely different and trying to act and take action from something that was so unaligned to me. Secondly, Of course, I didn't feel good enough. I was holding on to this core belief and I wasn't addressing it. But instead, I was reading self-help books and holding on to crystals, which were acting like a plaster on the wound, but not actually healing the wound itself. Now, don't get me wrong, crystals and self-help books are great, but as topper tools, maintenance tools that you can use once you've done the inner work. I was trying to fix 30 plus years of belief by myself, not knowing how or what to do. And let's be honest, I actually didn't understand what I was feeling either, truly. All I knew is I didn't feel good enough. But I feel like if you look around, there'll be a role model in your life, an auntie, a grandma, a mum, someone whose voice was suppressed, or someone who was shy, someone who didn't do stuff without asking their husband. So when you look around as a South Asian woman, those women are around you. So not feeling good enough almost became normalized, almost became like, well, that's what it is for women. That's how you should feel. This is the jig, guys. You people please and you worry about people's judgment and you put everybody else first. So not only was I not feeling like this and not understanding where the beliefs were coming from, but growing up as a South Asian and seeing lots of women being suppressed and lots of women having their voice taken away from them and lots of women putting other people first, I did kind of think, is this normal? The third thing was, of course, I didn't feel good enough, ignoring my emotions. I had anxiety, and at the time I didn't actually know what anxiety was. All I knew was my chest was tight and I couldn't breathe properly, to the point that I actually went and had some ECG tests done with the doctors to ensure it wasn't an actual physical problem. But what I did instead was I'd get anxiety and not be able to breathe properly, and I stuck a bloody sitcom on the telly to distract myself. Now, anxiety is your body's way of telling you something's wrong. I want you to think of it that almost like everything's going on in your body, everything's going on, and it's been pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. And anxiety is a way of your body saying, hello, I need some attention. Something's going on here. I can't take anymore. Almost like a pressure cooker. But I was too busy in my own world to give myself any time to figure out what's going on. And let's be honest, I was too scared to even open that can of worms. I didn't want to understand what was going on because it was just easier to ignore it and carry on. I'm a busy mom of 2. I've got to be strong for the kids. I don't have time for this anxiety that keeps showing up. I don't have time for this eczema that keeps showing up. I just need to get on with it. And that's why I'd look for prevention or maintenance over a cure, because I just knew that a cure was like, I didn't have the energy or capacity for it at the time. So you can see how I wasn't giving myself time and space to understand myself. Even back then, like I said, eczema would show up when I was stressed or when something would happen. And it was a reaction to ignored emotions. Now I still do get occasional eczema, but it's more of a physical thing. In September, maybe when the heating goes on, my skin dries out a little bit, or if I've got longer nails and I begin to itch, it will irritate eczema. So that's more of the physical side of things. But before, it would be an emotional thing where I'm ignoring my emotions and eczema would show up to kind of be like, hello, you need to deal with this. So you can see how I was taking action from a place that wasn't aligned. And then I was feeling bad that I wasn't good at doing those things. I was not understanding how my beliefs were affecting me and where they were coming from. And I wasn't giving myself any time and space to understand what's going on with me, process my emotions, process the situations around me and how I felt. Now, I want you to think of your brain and childhood, the lessons, opinions, the references, everything, the memories. I want you to think of it all as programming, because this will help you understand not only yourself, but other people too. Imagine all of those lessons, opinions, references, and memories live in what I'm going to call your hard drive. And now understand that every single person has a different programming. Every single person has a different hard drive. So what we find normal is very different for someone else. And this is actually one of the main reasons why partners take time to adjust to each other's families, because no one's right or wrong. We just have different programming, but that is a whole different podcast. But because I didn't understand that all of those things add to my programming. I didn't understand myself. Because I didn't understand my beliefs, it took me so much longer to work on my self-worth. And this is why it's so important for me to teach you to understand yourself, who you are, what your zone of genius is, which of the beliefs and thoughts that need to be replaced, and how to tune into your emotions and acknowledge them. And these are all of the things that I wished I knew 5 years ago when I started my journey to finding my worth from within. And that is exactly what I'm going to be showing you in my free masterclass on Monday, the 20th of January. So join me with the link in the show notes so that you can ditch your self-doubt and ignite your inner confidence and say goodbye to that heavy feeling in your heart that you're carrying around. Sign up now so that you can secure your space in the Zoom room Monday, the 20th of January at 8:30 p.m. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I look forward to hearing your feedback, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Finding Your Worth from Within. If today's message resonated with you, it would mean the world to me if you could follow, rate, and leave a review. Sharing the podcast with someone that you feel may benefit is the best way to help it grow and spread this important message. To stay connected between episodes, come hang out with me on Instagram @Mentoring. Can't wait to see you there.